The ModernJeeper Show, the show about Jeeps, Jeeping, and Jeepers.
Well, hey, Modern Jeepers, is another episode of the Modern Jeep Show with me, Mattson from Metalcloak, and Mr. Modern Jeeper, Corey Osborne.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, this is a little different for you. You're not sitting in a chair. You're not sitting in a hotel. You're standing in a shop.
I am. I'm actually in my garage. And of course, it's Tuesday afternoon. We got a bunch of parts for Jesse's Jeep on Friday. And we actually have some friends here from Tennessee that are all about working on her Jeep. So yeah, they're kind of in mid front end right now. The front end's completely apart. The rear end is already done. The lift's already installed in the rear. Next, of course, is some ARS stuff. But yeah, it's here. Let's switch the camera around for our YouTube folks so they can kind of see what they're working on right now. They're putting in the tie rod and drag link. And it's been a project. I didn't expect these guys to show up and work for 3 days.
Wow.
But you know what? I'm not going to say no.
Right. I noticed you're not working. I noticed, is this just all about them working for you and not you?
Yeah, pretty much. It's worked out really well. No, actually, we've had about 3 days of rain, and they came out here to wheel. They make a trip once a year, and this has kind of become an annual thing. They come out here a few days before my birthday, and they blame it on me having a birthday as to what we're actually doing this week. Last year, I think we spent it in Moab and got to do a little bit of wheeling in Moab and whatnot. But this year they've shown up, and we had 3 days of rain, so we had this project sitting in the garage, and it just so happens that these guys are also pretty handy. Moose owns his own shop in Tennessee, and Bryce has done some work for him, and it's been a great 3 days of rain because we've basically hung out in the garage and got some stuff done that needed to get done. So today's our first nice day. I can't really show you the San Juans just because they're so far away, but there's a lot of snow. There's a lot of snow in the San Juans. I took them out this morning. We went up Yankee Boy Basin, and we couldn't get all the way to the Yankee Boy trailhead, but it was cold. It was about 40 degrees this morning. Everything above about 10,000 feet is white capped.
Wow.
So yeah, there was about 3 inches of snow on Engineer Pass behind me. Way back there in the distance, you might be able to see some snow-capped mountains. But yeah, and of course today it's 65, which is kind of where we'll be, I think, now for the next few months. I don't think it's going to get a whole lot warmer than this. Surprisingly, there are still a ton of people out and about on vacations, wheeling. There's more people out of Uray today than I've seen our time up there. It's really kind of, I don't know. I thought back to work in the summer, but I guess not.
No, nobody goes back to work. What are you talking about? No, don't you haven't heard? Nobody's actually working.
Nobody goes back to work.
Nobody's working right now. Like, if you have a job, you're like, you must be obsessed with something. It's like the cult of those who are employed. Only cultists work.
Well, it is interesting because, what we do for fun and what we do for our work are very very similar. Of course, it's kind of the all Jeeps all the time thing, which that's if that's what you're passionate about. That's kind of where we're at. So So I'm going to switch over. We're going to go from me walking around with my phone to back sitting at our regular desk, our regular programming. So for our listeners, there may be a little bit of a blip here.
Oh, Gary can fix it.
As we join over.
There we go.
She's so nice when she's
And
so
in
nice.
a flip of a second, a little bit of magic, you're here.
That's
Fantastic.
right. That's right. Look at that.
Well, see, now we're not looking at your nose anymore. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's been a busy the last 3 days with all the rain we've had, and of course, here we were stuck inside, pouring down rain outside, and you were in Pomona at a Jeep event. Now, how odd is this? It's like a role reversal thing,
right? I mean, I was at something. I was actually doing something and talking to people. It's kind of funny, giving away posters and signing my autograph. And
did you have a poster like Greg Cottrell?
Yeah, oh, I should do the poster.
We need to make air fresheners so we can have you everywhere we go.
That's right.
Right. I'll just be like, with my post, my air freshener.
You just stand on your Jeep and lean into it.
It is funny though, because we did, Bonnier Events had this little form you could fill out, and on that form you could put like the products that you're promoting and new stuff, and any celebrities coming to your booth. Well, I was the first one to kind of go to the form and go, well, nobody's filled it out yet. I'm going to do it. So I put myself down. 11 to noon on Saturday and noon to 1 on Sunday. I was there in the booth as the co-host of the ModernJeeper Show.
Nice.
Signing posters.
That's
not of me.
Awesome.
It is also interesting being at a primary Jeep and off-road event, giving away Dodge Ram posters, because we had these big posters made that promoting our game changer suspension systems. There were a few guys like, oh yeah, Ram, no, thanks, sorry. Like they're, Chevy guys or Ford guys or something, But hey, RockStar Jeep Girl Jesse, we didn't get to introduce you earlier because it was just Corey and I.
Well, I was on the floor,
Well, I'm pretty impressed that you're parts. You're manhandled in a wife beater tank top. I like that.
Yeah. The tie rod's pretty freaking heavy, man.
Who was manhandling who in that shop?
Yeah,
I noticed you went up there and got it yourself, though. I noticed it wasn't like the guys going and grabbing it for you. You were the one handing it to them to put in.
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of interesting, and we're around suspension stuff so often that it's kind of fun to just and so this is the first JL 2-liter turbo install kit that I've actually even seen personally. So
wow.
I gotta hand it to the guys at Metalcloak once again. I think it's funny our what we think of when we say, well, I'm gonna have to install this full suspension system on this Jeep, and it's gonna take me a month, and I'm gonna have to have a lift. And I got to tell you guys, it's a lot simpler than that.
You just got to get the steps down. You've got to read the instructions. If you do it in order,
it makes sense.
It won't take you very long. If you do everything in order, it will fit. Everything will be lined up. You won't have to align anything big time if you do it right.
Yeah, I mean, measurements are already there for starting points for an alignment type of situation with caster, toe in, toe out, all of that kind of stuff. With adjustable control arms, I think people freak out. They don't read all the way through it. They just put in some ends and they go, I don't know, now I got to take it to an alignment shop. And man, it drives really horrible. Well, it shouldn't be that bad out of the box. Again, if you follow the instructions, it's pretty straightforward. And this is, I was looking at the kit. This is a 3.5-inch game changer kit, and I'm looking for the brake lines. And Christian Moose was like, yeah, not on these kits don't require them. And that was new to me. I'm like, oh, the factory brake lines are long enough. And I know that freaks out a lot of people because they're like, oh, wait a minute. No, I got to crack the brake lines and replace those. And it's a big mess. And I don't know what I'm doing. And it's actually not very difficult. But in these newer kits with these newer Jeeps, man, it's pretty straightforward. There's nothing surprising in there. It just takes time, and you have to be a little bit of methodical about it. Read through the directions, and then go back and start. Don't read them through the first time as you're starting to install one of these kits. No. That's not healthy.
And it helps that Moose has done it so many times. He has perfected every step in making it so easy. And both of us wanted to jump in and learn more about the JL because we've never installed a lift hands-on
From scratch. Yeah.
from scratch on a JL. So it's very eye-opening. Now I know I have more tips on what to look for when people are on the trailer too. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of things.
That's very cool. But your point about reading the instructions, there's a reason why our instructions are available immediately. Like you don't have to wait. There's some companies, I don't know, they may have changed their website, but I remember before looking at like, oh yeah, you have to contact them for a code to be able to get into the instructions because they're hidden. It's like, what? No, because we want you to look, one, we want you to read through the instructions, go, yeah, I can do that. Two, our instructions include the tool list and the things you're going to need. So go get that stuff right away, right? Get ready for it. Don't start going through and go, oh shoot, I didn't know I needed a 17/32 drill bit for putting in my
halfway
body
through
armor.
your install, and now you're going to wait like 3 days trying to source one, find one, get one sent to you.
And so but putting in order, I remember, there have always been shops that have called up, we have a problem, blah blah blah, right? I did an install, and my shop charged me 24 hours for doing something that you guys said takes 8 hours. Well, it's because it took them that long because they didn't follow the instructions. They thought they knew better, right? It's not that way. Follow the instructions, do things step by step, and
more often than not, our listeners understand. They've worked on Jeeps before. We're also tearing into a Jeep that's got 3,000 miles on it. Like it is all the nuts and bolts. There's no rust.
It's pretty nice.
Everything's
not to have to
really
beat
simple.
everything to death.
So we all know what it's like working on that guy's Jeep that hasn't serviced it in 10 years, if ever. And things are going to take a little bit longer. And when the owner of the Jeep who hasn't worked on their own things before kind of goes, hey, how come this took twice as long and you're going to charge me more money? Because there is that issue where you got to start cutting parts off and things like that, or re-engineering the parts that were already installed maybe incorrectly or another brand stuff. And it can get into a real big project really fast.
You can, depending on what the Jeep is. But here's the thing. Every time that we had a question, we dialed the number.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It turns out the guys at Metalcloak will answer even our questions right now. They pick up the phone, and it could be just a sentence or two. And it's like, yep, that's what that is. Okay, thanks.
See, but guys aren't reading the memos. I told them not to stop answering calls from you guys. I mean,
that's why I had to bring in friends from out of state, so they don't recognize our area code.
What Moose has done,
what you did is you set up your phone number to be blocked, so they don't actually know it's you calling.
Right.
Crap.
This game in the system, jeez.
So talk a little bit about Pomona. How was this was the back to the old location after skipping last year and then skipping COVID year.
So last week you were honest about Palo Duro, and I'm going to be honest about Off Road Expo. So 2019 was the last year we're there. Now Off Road Expo has gone through some ownership changes over the years, right? And
it was family events, right? Yeah,
it was family events. Now it's Bonnier. Bonnier is a multinational, massive company that does events around the world. So they really know events, and it's a good company. They take care of his people, from what I understand, because people really hustle and bustle when they're doing events. If you haven't done events from the other side, right, like doing trade shows and things, there's a lot that goes into it. So I will say that the people were awesome, right? Dealing with them, awesome. I was, of course, behind on a couple of deadlines because I was like, oh, geez, they had emails going to the wrong email address, whatever. They took care of us. Event Hype is the company that does all of their exhibitor services like power drops, carpeting, all that kind of stuff. Awesome people to work with. Bonnier, the people there were great. Melissa, our rep, was outstanding. The challenge was that this will be our third year. That's like our 3-year hiatus, right? So 2019, we did the event. Leading into 2019, there was a general expectation. There was a general feeling amongst vendors that the group had been doing such a great job promoting the event, family events in particular, that a lot of people were coming for the excitement of the event that weren't necessarily coming because they wanted to see a vendor about off-road products.
There was a lot of attractions that were taking place, during the event. Yeah.
Exactly. So you had a lot of people coming, a lot of families coming, huge crowds, right? But not huge crowds that started at 9 and went all the way until 5 o'clock or 6 on Saturday, 5 o'clock on Sunday. Constant flow of people, not necessarily your target audience, not necessarily your buyers, but great overall for the industry, I think. Lots and lots of people coming through. We didn't see that as much this year. So it was a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday. It didn't start getting busy inside of building 4 we're at till about 10:30. That went to about 2:30 or so, and then it started dying off. So on both days, you had about 2 to 3 hours where it was just kind of like, hey, where's everybody? Right.
Wow.
So, but during that period of time, and me talking to other different vendors, it was the same. It was the same. Like during that period of time from 10:30 to 2:30 or 10 to 3, whatever, it was busy, packed, lots of people coming through. But that time before and the time after, it was just kind of dead. So there's lots of reasons, and people can put a lot of information on it. But another factor that was interesting was that there were a lot of vendors that weren't necessarily there, right? Raceline wasn't there, Milestar wasn't there. Some of these vendors that we know just chose not to go this year. And it was more noticeable in the buildings because when we first started going to Off Road Expo in the first few years there, building 4, 5, and 6, which are the first 3 main buildings.
Yeah.
We're in building 4, it's the biggest building. And then you had 5 and 6 are next to it. Plus all the aisles out there were full, like cars everywhere, tons of stuff to see, sand cars, Jeeps, trucks, whatever, all kinds of builds.
Yeah. Racing stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Lots of stuff outside, lots of stuff inside. Everything's full. Building 4, full all the way. This year, there was a whole section, probably the back quarter of building 4 was pipe and draped off. So pipe and drape, for those no events, that's your straight up rails, the metal rails with black and white drape on it to kind of separate off sections and separate off booths. Well, they put pipe and drape all across to close off a whole section. So literally about a quarter of the building was empty.
Wow.
Then building 5 was totally empty, and building 6 had about 2/3 in there, and about a third of it was empty. So a lot less vendors than we would have expected. It could be related to prices. I mean, prices have definitely gone up. The cost to do stuff has gone up. The cost to be there, the cost of hotels, everything's gone up. Marriott Bonvoy now owns the Sheraton there, which it still has a big Sheraton logo, but it's part of the Marriott Bonvoy.
Marriott branding, yeah.
Right, Marriott branding. So, there's things like the restaurant didn't have a breakfast buffet, and you go into the restaurant, and it was here you go in, you're in the morning, you're trying to go in to get in and you have breakfast before you have to go do the show. We ended up going to Denny's off site because it's a half-hour wait just to sit down. And it wasn't because they were busy, it's because they don't have staff, right? It's like anything. There's no staffing. So they can't have the whole restaurant full because they only have 1 or 2 servers, and their server can't handle a huge section, right? We had the same thing. We went down to Olive Garden for lunch on Friday afternoon after we did setup. Mike and I did setup on Friday. Again, the guys from Event Hype were great, and I'll talk about that in a second. But we go down to Olive Garden. Nobody's in there. There's maybe 2 tables. 2 of us coming in. We were told it was a 10-minute wait. And there's place is virtually empty.
Is everybody
but because they just don't have the staff to serve this other community. So we went and sat at the bar. And even then I said, well, can you sit at the bistro tables? No, he's got to be at the bar, because they wanted the bartender just to be able to serve us across the bar, as opposed to having.
That sounds like 2 years ago that we encountered.
Right.
Yeah,
And
that
that's happening
sounds
in
like
California still.
Yeah, it sounds like it was 2 years ago for
Yeah,
sure.
it was down in SoCal. It was so weird. So so that was kind of what it was like. I will say it was interesting for us because we usually do black carpet. The guys over at Event Hype didn't have any black carpet, so they did this plastic flooring that kind of snaps together.
I saw the checkered board race. I think of it as a race flooring.
Right, it's kind of a race flooring.
You see it in garages and stuff. Yeah,
very comfortable to walk on. It's open airy, so the dirt falls through. Right, so very comfortable, very clean, easy to use, easy to walk on. Not compatible with a Jeep on 40s trying to go and work around on it. Like literally, we parked the Jeeps on Thursday night in there, came back Friday morning, had our breakfast stuff, came out. I went to move Cloak 3, our big JQ with the Hemi. And of course, when we have that thing in reverse and you have it in 4 low, you fight the brake on it, right? So I'm fighting
Right.
the brake on it. I get a little bit of movement. I tear up the plastic. Like it moves all over the place. I had to pull it off. Just the front tires gripped a little bit as the rear tires
And
are
just
going.
wants to spin the whole flooring out.
The
Yeah.
whole flooring gets all messed up. So we have to rebuild the flooring. That's fine. So I went to the guys and said, well, hey, love the flooring. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, good. I have a problem though. I need to put this Jeep up on a 32-inch stand to show off the product.
Right.
I don't think my stand's going to stay in place as I'm trying to drive up it when I'm putting a 32-inch, putting this 40-inch tire up on this thing. I don't think it's going to stay in place. That stuff's kind of slick. So, hey, well, no problem. We'll come out and help you. So 3 of their guys came out to help and to kind of like they were going to help us go on, figure out how to make it happen. They brought out some runners, some carpet runners, so we could run on the carpet and not mess with the plastic. Really cool. Ultimately, we said, you know what? I hate to do this because I know it can flex on, but let's just forklift it. So they pulled out the forklift, they lifted up the tire, we put it under the stand, dropped it down. Awesome guys. I gave them some hats and some stickers for the help, but that's ultimately how we displayed it out there. Now, the fun part was when we took it down.
Right.
There's a video that exists that is probably will not, however, make it to public because it could be maybe some blackmail on it. But you basically imagine you've got the rig and you're starting to roll down it, right? You're going to roll down it, and we went ahead and put the ramp on it. As I'm starting to roll down, basically the tire rotated, the ramp went backwards, so the ramp shot back about 5 feet. As basically the rig's not going forward at all; it's just going down. Tires just going down, ramp shooting out.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
we cleared out. I mean, we thought that might happen, so the guys were smart about it. But yeah, it doesn't. That great flooring. So good. Overall, it was a great event. We had fun. Saw a lot of people. Over the years, there have been customers that have come out there who have built their rigs on going there and doing that show special that we do.
Oh,
Just there, no other
Yep.
place are there. Every year, showing up and saying, okay, this year it's time for bumpers. Now it's time for
Right.
skid plates. Now it's time
Yeah.
for suspension. Now it's time for this, and built their rig over the years. It was
Mhm.
great meeting them, having many of them come by and seeing us again for the first time, because it's been almost 3 years. And it was just awesome. So I had a lot of fun there. Had a lot of fun meeting people, talking to them, meeting some new people, new vendors, new companies, being next to our buddies from Rockside Engineering, being next. PRP had a massive 20 by 40-inch booth, and so seeing
Cool.
Aaron out there and all his people, it was good. It was a good event overall.
Well, and it's and Jesse and I we had some conversations in the last week about events, and it's we talked about this before. It's an evolution, right? I mean, there's an evolution of everything in the industry, and events evolve, they change ownership, perspectives change, and the people that go to events have a different. There's still a lot of people out there that want to go to an event and they want to buy. And
Mhm.
an example is like Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion. They go to that event, they know there's going to be show deals, they're going to take product with them from the event. There's the other side of the events where people want to go and they want to look, they want to touch, and they want to feel, but they're
Mhm.
still okay. They want to order online, or they want to have it shipped to them, or they have a buddy that has a shop and he'll buy from them, or whatever that case may be. Um, and I think the two are still evolving, and people are going to events and they're not sure what to expect yet, because I do feel like manufacturers cannot, especially a company like us with Metalcloak. Um, we'd have to, people ask us all the time, well, how come you didn't bring any product? Well, I'd have to bring a semi, and then what you want is not going to be what I have in the truck.
Mhm.
So again, it's easier for us to ship you exactly what you need, and I think a lot of manufacturers are realizing, hey, to take a truck and a huge trailer across the country, and 4 Wheel Parts has done that for so many years, but we're seeing fewer
Mhm.
of those trucks now at events. It turns out shipping did come back to life. Is it extremely expensive for everybody to ship anything? Yeah. Um, but again, it's a matter of convenience, and who wants to go to a show and buy a bumper and then carry it around? I'm
Right.
still confused about that.
Nope.
Right. It is interesting how many people bring product, and versus how many we do free shipping anyway. So why are we going to do that? Right. And we're just going to take orders. And that's the only show that we consistently take orders at. Right. Any other show you come by, visit us. Yeah. If you're really nice, we might give you a discount code that's good that day only.
Right.
But for the most part, we don't. this is a show that we sell at. We only had a team of 4 down there, myself and 3 others. And usually that was about half our crew. So just to give you an idea of the flow there, that was about half our usual crew that we take down there. And that was plenty. Like 4 guys handled it fine. So whereas we could be busy in the past, like the year you were there, right? The last time you and Jesse were there, there was no stopping. It was go, go, go.
No,
nuts.
no, and we and that is a selling show for us. So we'll take orders and try to get people into what they're needing to purchase. I got to tell you, this last week I'm still, and I mentioned it when I was outside. Just going up into your Ray today, there's snow in the mountains. Let me repeat that. It's cold here. There's snow in the mountains, and travel's becoming an issue, and it has not stopped people. We ran into M&H Towing. My buddy Price's company was coming by with one of the tow trucks this morning, and they just recovered a car just up the road from us out here. It went off the road in the mud, in the rain. And this is like on a regular dirt road. People aren't paying as much attention, and I get it. They've watched the YouTube video, so now they're expert drivers.
Right?
It's the amount of traffic that we saw on a Tuesday morning up into the high country, as high as we could go. We didn't go over like Imogene Pass or anything like that. There's a lot of snow up there. A couple days it'll probably melt. It'll be fine. But there's snow and mud, and there's some erosion already taking place from some of these heavy rainstorms. People aren't being careful. I'm like, oh, we have the trifecta coming up the road, and we're in a 4-wheel drive section of Yankee Boy Basin. The first guy is in a little Toyota SUV. The next guy's in a Mercedes-Benz station wagon SUV, and then we had a Lexus G470 behind him.
Wow.
We're in all of us are at least on 37-inch tall tires, which is overkill for that road. But there's erosion, there's snow on the road, there's mud and a lot of rock. And these guys are in passenger car tires, and then they can't figure out why they get a flat.
And ignore the sign that says high clearance 4-wheel drive only, and you still see them.
The guy
probably just thought it was probably says high, clearance,
high,
and I have 4 wheels.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It wasn't high clearance. They don't know what high clearance 4x5. They were high first.
Yeah, they were high. Yeah, something's high.
And they could see clearance. They could see clearance. Clearwater. They're playing clearance. Clearwater Revival.
Creedence Clearwater. Yeah. It's just. And
then they have 4 wheels. I have 4 wheels. You have 4 wheels.
We should be fine.
It's all-wheel drive. It's good.
That's enough. If all of them are turned in, I mean, what more do you need?
Right.
I don't know. I felt like it was a little bit like summertime almost again. And I thought, well, the weather's now bad. We are in Colorado's high country, and but the leaves are changing. And so that draws every other person that didn't come to Colorado during the summertime. Now they have to go take a picture of the aspen trees changing, because that's what you do, right? You take pictures of the colors
But they're getting into places they should not be to do it.
No.
Yeah, but there's always
guys
that
recover. Some of our roads get really muddy, and it's 4-wheel drive, and they get stuck too.
Price takes
up the road.
Price takes AAA, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's AAA. It's like, that's why I got AAA. It's like, what let's face it. The reason for insurance is to make up for own stupidity. I mean, why pay for insurance if we're just going to not have any problems ever? Like, we're just going to be, smart all the time. I mean,
right.
You don't need insurance.
People are definitely asleep at the wheel today.
So since you've been gone and in this last week, Florida, Tampa Bay area, like Fort Myers Beach area, devastated. People are dying. And now people are wanting to point the fingers and say, how come they didn't tell us we should have left sooner?
When they didn't even leave at all.
Listen, we don't even want to get political, but absolutely that there were going to be people that are going to foment and blame against the governor. It's all the governor's fault.
Yes.
Now, my mom, for example, lives in Clearwater. She moved there just last year.
Yeah.
That was right. Clearwater's right outside of Tampa area, right? And it's that whole region, which is just north of where the direction was going. Well, they got a evacuation order.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and a few of her neighbors said, yeah, no, Like
Mhm.
my mom went to her neighbors. Her neighbors were younger. Some people who quote unquote are smart people and said, "Yeah, we're not going." So she's like, "All right, I'll just hang out with you guys." Now she lives in a single wide, right? Nice single wide she picked up for cheap and has done a bunch of work on it. Right on the water. It's a beautiful area. Right on, she could see dolphins swimming out her back window, whatever. I mean, you can't have something better. But it, it is still a mobile home. It's still a single wide, right? And so I'm getting these calls like she's there, she's finally like, okay, so then little prayer here, prayer there, and ultimately it missed them. But if it had gone right through there, like that's another mobile home park
Yeah, well, and
thrown
that's
into
why
the
they call
water.
them mobile homes. I mean, yeah, they're
Yeah, glider
ability
homes.
They go where
Yeah,
the wind blows.
the ability for them to be displaced.
displaced.
Um,
But it's
yeah,
sunny. It's a funny moving from California out there. You don't think about that, right? And then we're
Mhm.
watching it follow. The potential flow of this one was going to go up through Georgia to Tennessee, and it was like if you could have planned a hurricane that was going to take out a bunch of conservative areas, right? You just go through, just like
right. Yeah, I mean,
we're
this
just
is
gonna
how
we're
you.
just gonna zigzag across the country and take out a few conservative. Everywhere that Gavin Newsom of California has put paid for billboards against the local governor,
Take
that's
those
just gonna
out.
follow that, right? Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I mean, and the weather is just crazy. So we're in our heavy planning stages, really, of our Death Valley trip. And
Mhm.
I was just on the Park Service's website this morning. I check every day to see what status of the park is, and a lot of the main roads in and out of Death Valley National Park are still closed.
Wow.
So they're working on them. They expect to have them open, a couple of them open by mid October, but that's not very far away.
Mm.
So I know I've had some folks ask, where are we going to start and that kind of thing. To be honest, I have no idea yet. We will be out there in the next couple of weeks, and we'll do some more pre-running. This will probably be another one of those trips where we have not been to these places before, just because we can't get to some of these places that are kind of highlights of the places that get traveled a bunch. Those roads are still closed. Um, so yeah, so hang tight with us, and everybody will be getting an email from us. But again, we can't change the weather. The Mother Nature has her own plan. We
Does
do
she
our
really?
best.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think you know this conversation. She,
She don't give
she's
a
she's a
rat's
little bipolar
behind.
right now.
And she don't care about
She don't
much. Yeah,
care. No, she don't. She's like going, look what I can do. You
right.
guys think you have something on me. You have no idea.
And I mean, look at the flooding in Moab, and a lot of the businesses in Moab have been inundated with rain and water. And we had pictures just the other day from the same rainstorms that we were getting. They were getting rain too. So I guess my point is that hopefully our listeners are respectful. Well, I mean, half the listeners to our podcast are all out in the garage right now working. So
Yeah.
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 Right. Well, I do want to give a shout out to Ricky, our buddy in Jeepers Den out there, because you reached out to him. I reached out to him, and I said, "Yeah, you're probably doing what you do best." And then is going out and helping other people. He goes, "Yeah, they just got back. Him and his wife, both in Jeeps, going off and doing what they can to help their neighbors and help other people and rescue
Yeah, I
people
mean,
when
they were
necessary."
posting, "Hey, we have recovery gear. If anybody needs recovery gear, like, well, the store's open. Come down. Like, we'll help you out."
Yeah,
Um, and that's what it takes. So that's that Jeepers family, right? I mean, that's what it should be about anyway.
right. That's what it should be about.
Should be about.
It should be. That's what it is in my world. I don't know about
I've got
yours.
a cool new tool, and I've had it
Uh
for a week, but I didn't get to talk about it last week.
oh. Okay.
So all of us, we have power tools, DeWalt, Milwaukee, whatever your preferred brand is,
Black and Decker.
Black and Decker, yeah, whatever. So I have a lot of rigid stuff, and it's Home Depot's brand. It's kind of like Cobalt is Lowe's brand or whatever, but the rigid stuff is I've got a mixture of things. I have some DeWalt stuff, I have some rigid stuff. Well, I've been watching and I've been wanting something that I saw that I think it's Milwaukee was making, but it wasn't quite right. Now we all got a bunch of these batteries, these little
Mm-hmm.
lithium ion batteries. Cool. This is a 4 amp hour battery. What I wanted was something I could charge my phone off of. And they came out with one.
And not build the reason we want them for the phone overlanding. We all
Yeah.
know.
So if you're over in you're in your tent and you're camping, I have a little Goal Zero battery that I can plug our phones into and
Mhm.
charge everything overnight. But it's kind of a big deal. It's a big
It's in
battery
the way.
and it's heavy and that kind of thing. Well, Rigid finally came out with an adapter that actually is also an inverter, and it's got a USB-C port and a USB regular dash A port, and it's 175
What?
175 watt power inverter. So literally,
And a
this-
flashlight.
and it's got a light on it. So this little
Wow.
attachment goes right on top of your battery, and that's it. Now I have an
Oh,
inverter.
so you have a Rigid battery with you in order to for your power
Charge your
tools,
phones, all
Yep.
your things
whatever.
at night.
But now you can use it also to just that's cool.
So I typically throw one of these in if I have my impact gun with me or something like that in a tool bag. And then, of course, the little Rigid chargers you can charge off of your cigarette lighter plug. You can charge them off of AC power. So like the new JLs and the Gladiators, of course, they have an AC plug-in. You can actually charge the batteries off of that. But it's kind of cool. I mean, then there's a little light on it.
Wow.
So
So
you
what's
can
the
see at
lifetime
night.
supposed to be? What's the lifetime on that for that have connected to that battery?
So I'm not sure what kind of life I'll get on a 4 amp hour battery, but I'm guessing it'll charge a couple of our phones no problem. If I was running the AC outlet at 175 watts, I'm
Yeah.
guessing that's probably, I could do the math. It's going to be probably an hour or something like that, depending on the draw, of course, of the
Sure.
device. But I don't know. I haven't used it yet. I found it at Home Depot. I've been waiting for them to come in. I got an email from Rigid and it said they had them. And I went to Home Depot and the guy's like, yeah, we don't have anything like that. I'm like, well,
You do.
here's your website and it says you do. And so after, an hour and a half of hunting around with the guy, they found a box that had just come in that they hadn't even unloaded yet. And it's $80.
And I had to
bucks.
have my blow dryer on the trail,
Yeah. I mean, $80. And I don't know. We'll do a little review.
The blow driver that not like 5 minutes and then it's done. Sucks all the power out.
Yeah,
I'm
probably.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure
It's
that.
a lot more wattage than that thing is.
Yeah.
See,
Here's
now you need is your solar system on top of the Jeep to then recharge those Rigid batteries.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, and
We have plenty of
there's
those.
actually 2 of the USB A ports and then 1 USB C port. But this says, well, and of course you can get different size batteries. So there's a 5 amp hour battery, there's a 2 amp hour battery. So with bigger batteries, obviously you'll get more life out of them. But it says it'll charge up a laptop, a camera battery, all that kind of good stuff. So there you go.
I'm curious, was there ever a USB-B?
No, they went straight to C. They just skipped. They went A and then C.
A and C. So nobody ever wanted to say USB-B.
Yeah,
B is just above average. C is average. A is exceptional. So
USB-B. Oh, there is also known as USB standard B connector. The B style connector is designed for USB peripherals. That's the little square USB one. That's kind of like about that big for printer
well, there you go.
peripherals. There you go. So, but obviously, because it was called USB-B, it didn't catch on.
BB.
Baby. No,
BB.
not gonna work.
Nope. Yeah, because that's important.
Yeah.
So you guys went up. You actually did a little bit of the wheeling today. Kind of went out. So
We
how
did.
long are your friends? How long are these people around? I just
They're
noticed
leaving
that
on
people. Is it just that people just seem to think that Corey's a nice guy? We're going to show up at his property and
We'll camp there for a week. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be fine. Yeah.
And Philip's coming back. He'll be back this weekend. So no, it's really cool and
He's bringing more whiskey, right?
Yeah,
Everybody loves hanging out with us.
we're just like that. It's just fun.
You know
to
what
be
you should
here.
do is you need to have Philip come out on Death Valley and then put him in charge of food.
Oh man, yeah.
Like,
We've
just-
talked about that actually.
Let's just have him doing tacos every night.
He just needs to bring his little smoker, and
we
he
need
can
a
just
compact smoker, dang it.
right.
Yeah. Well, they got
Or
the
just
compact.
he'll come here for a week, we'll smoke all the meats and then bring it with us.
Just have him do it and throw it in the back of his Jeep. He's got nothing better to do out there. He's got to,
Right. Well, it's just so hard to find big enough papers to go around the meat.
Smoke
So
it all, dang it.
you got the small little like the the little grills now, and you got all this stuff. You got to have the micro smokers.
Massive papers. What are you doing? I'm
Put it in the
smoking
fire.
this roast.
A smoke and a roast. That's right, baby. You have to use a torch at
Roast
one
and a
end.
smoke, maybe.
Yeah,
I hate
so-
smoke and smoke.
I know.
It's actually we don't have company at the house very often, and in fact in the last, I don't know, 5 years we're on the road so much, and it's been really fun this year to have people be able to come to Uray. They're more than welcome to hang out here for a couple days, and we get them. We get free help. We later on they're going to do some yard work for me, and
It's like,
They take
yeah, sure,
orders very well.
no problem. Here's your task list.
yeah.
Yeah.
You show up at the gate. Here's your list.
Here's the list.
Feel
Thanks for
free
you
to
can be
invite a
right
friend.
there. Okay, you gonna sleep inside or outside? It just depends on what list I'm giving you.
That's right. Well, everybody was going to sleep outside on this trip, and then after the first 2 days of pouring down rain,
And cold.
yeah, there's some folks on the floors and stuff, and yeah, that's totally fine.
How many bedrooms do you have?
Just 2 that are like spare bedrooms.
Like actual bedrooms.
Yeah,
Actual bedrooms. Yeah,
actual bedrooms.
actual bedrooms.
Lots of other floor space. There's somebody in the
floor
living
space.
room, and yeah.
Couches, floor
den.
space.
There's a workout room.
I mean, even a waterproof tent, a good tent, with 2-3 days of pouring down rain all day. Those really nice waterproof tents, they still aren't like that cool.
standing
No.
water.
Yeah,
No, because everything gets moist, even though it gets through. It still gets moist.
you said moist. Yes,
I said moist. The problem with I'm not moist. I don't know about you. I need a little moisturizer though. I'm a little dry. Yeah,
It's a little
use
dry here.
A little moisturizer there and there and there, and us bald guys gotta keep it moisturized.
Wax
Right.
it up.
Don't
Yep.
don't want to get age spots up here, right?
Yeah, no. In fact,
gotta keep it smelling or feeling like I won't say it.
well, and even going out this morning, I didn't bring my hat with me, and we get up to some altitude, and the sun came out, and it's
It's like burnt.
yeah,
Insta-burn.
it's like insta burn at 9,000-10,000 feet.
Especially with snow on the peaks glaring down at you.
Yeah, everything's
Right.
a little bright and whatnot, but we still have a lot of stuff going on. We have Jesse's going over to Moab for the Ladies Off Road Network convention next week, some training and whatnot. I'm taking another group from Moab through Colorado, kind of a
Television.
lifestyle narrative of the history of mining and stuff like that. I get to do so.
That's cool. Hey, so
Yeah.
did that Moab Expo thing happen last weekend?
We
I've heard a thing.
we tried to find information about it, and we could not. So I
think it kind of went away
don't
Wow.
know
because no one talked about it. No one said anything. They didn't post anything. So
didn't see any pictures. We were actually going to go over there and just see what it was like, and then we had just gotten home from Texas, and it was like, okay, I need a couple of days, and then tried to do a little bit of searching just online from her website and whatnot, and to figure it out, and nothing. So I don't know.
Wow, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
Very odd.
You try to do things, and listen, why compete? Figure out your dates. And when you're doing an event, figure out your dates, right? You can't compete. You can't be a new event and compete against already existing events.
not
Yeah, that doesn't-
Moab.
Not in.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we got Trail Hero this weekend in Sand Hollow, and I know a lot of folks are heading out there for that. Hopefully, they'll have some good weather. But
It's
then
changed.
the next thing that's coming up, and Pomona is that's staging for what typically is SEMA. A lot
Right.
of those manufacturers. SEMA will be interesting this year. We're going to go out there for a few days just because it's kind of an anchor for our Death Valley thing. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how that plays out. I know that there's been a lot of advertising by SEMA events, a lot of push to get people to come to Vegas. So yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting.
It will be interesting because one of the guys came by our booth talking about SEMA a little bit. it is, I mean, they're calling it a reset. Like, this is a reset. And so
Mhm.
everything is going to be different, right? Um, and I understand that if you guys, like, if those guys didn't make it last year, companies were still able to get their spots, or they weren't considered, they didn't have to go back to the bottom of the list as far as having tenure there. So it was good for them. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I still think there's a lot of companies who aren't going, who've kind of wised up to the fact that being at SEMA didn't not being at SEMA didn't hurt them.
Right. I mean,
So
unless you're an international type of manufacturer and you've really got a base in global relationships. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, it's awfully expensive. I mean, to be seen and
Mhm.
play that game, but
right. Yeah, exactly. If you're really trying to build it up, people do it. But it is, I think maybe you see a lot of the big companies that are, the VCs, the investment bank owned companies out there are going to be out there showing off other products, trying to do more, trying to set up appointments. If you're doing it right, you're just setting up appointments all day and meeting with distributors, etc. Just to be there just doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But I understand it's going to be considered a reset, and they're going to try to do it differently. Are you guys planning to be out there?
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be out there for a few days. I just talked to Greg at Raceline the other day, and they're even in a they're in somebody else's booth,
Wow.
and I can't remember the name of the company now,
I can't
but they'll
either.
be down in Wheels, and um, I'm sure Milestar will be out there, and some of those more of a global type of brand, and especially when some of your manufacturing comes from overseas, I think it's important for those companies to represent those folks.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. I understand that I just got an email from SEMA that Pennzoil is going to have some huge. They've always been kind of in back of the Ford booth out front, and so they're expanding their footprint and going to do more again. But it's more of those
Racers
poster
and
signings type of things,
famous
which
people.
I don't know. I guess you can go meet cool people, and that's why people go to SEMA rather
Well,
than
Emmett Smith's going to be there, so I have to go.
yeah. So there's that.
There is that. There is that. It is funny because you see celebrities go out and do that stuff, and they're trying to push brands and talk with people, and people love seeing celebrities. They love meeting people. And it'd be interesting to see what, based on what we've seen as a trend this year with different major
Yes.
events and the YouTubers who
Yeah.
aren't, basically what SEBA is like this year with the YouTubers are going to be, is there going to be a YouTuber cadre going? Is there a YouTuber village? Is there, the
Oh,
YouTuber
I'm sure.
community? Are they trying to get through? And are they getting media passes? Is that how they're showing up, or how are the
Mm.
YouTubers actually getting in? Right?
Well, and I sent
Whether
you
it
I
be
sent you guys a link from SEMA that they're having a YouTuber. No, it's an influencer
right.
of the year award this year, and I thought, oh, who's this going to be? To be honest, I
I
think
don't know
I
any of them.
recognized one name, and it was kind of obscure. But we have to remember that the off-road industry in the automotive world is extremely, extremely small.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so when we think of the YouTubers that we know and the influencers that we know, yeah, these folks. I looked at a couple of them, and they have well over 1 million followers. They're these are branded people who have spent their entire life in the automotive industry, either making videos, developing products, all of it. They're outstanding photographers. When we think of our influencers, well, this is a little bit different of
Hmm.
a scale. So uh, yeah, it'll be interesting. But we'll see SEMA evolve and eventually put its arms out and grasp the folks who are making a difference or are bringing people into a lifestyle. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, it is interesting because you get guys out there, like you said, they're all over the place, right? So many different influencers in so many different areas when it comes to builds, hot rods, the works. We met a kid named Robbie Layton who has a body shop, and he was out there at Off Road Expo. He's new to the off road world. Like, he built a little rig called the Golden Nugget, which apparently that was done in combustion with, I guess, with KMC or BFG or one of those guys, right? They sold 500,000 shirts with a Golden Nugget on it when they released it. 500,000 shirts on this little, because they kind of pushed it on, and because it was seen on Matt's off-road recovery, because he kind of like was a networked through a bunch of different groups, this little rig, which is a Suzuki Samurai called the Golden Nugget, was getting all kinds of attention. And it was primarily a project he was working on, but all these others were part of it. It just was a great little project. Anyway, he's got himself a JK, had a fire problem, and so if you've checked out his video, check it out. But we'll link it in the show notes, and it has some Metalcloak fenders on it. So we reached out to him just to introduce ourselves. Great guys, but there are the guys like that who are really genuine. But he's built up his following not on Jeep and off road. He's built up his following because he's a really good auto body shop. And he's a young kid who has a very successful auto body shop. And so he does hot rods, he does, muscle cars, all that kind of stuff. You go to his YouTube channel, and it's a beautiful Dodge Charger that looks pretty stock on the cover. So that's the kind of stuff he's used to. He's not used to the off-road world, right? So he's kind of crossing over into our world, which some could say is the same thing that Light Bright did. They had a little channel going that was just all about doing the drifting,
beating up their Jeep. Yeah.
Well, drifting. They started out with drifting and racing and drifting.
Yeah.
And Brittany hanging out on her bed talking about poetry or something. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff they did before they discovered their niche, which was playing on Jeeps, or in Jeeps, or with Jeeps, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, again, it's longevity. Like, this is also new to what we consider the influencers. They've been out there for 4 years, 5 years at the most. We're talking about people who have spent their life building their businesses and things like that. Yeah. Again, will there be longevity to any of it? What is next? When YouTube is gone, when Facebook is gone, what is that next thing? I mean, who knows?
We don't know. But you have to recognize when it happens, right?
Right.
Right now what's gone is Facebook advertising and Google advertising, and all of that stuff just doesn't have the pull. Now it has,
unless you're Kim Kardashian.
Even then, she just started her own VC fund, and it only doesn't work for her either. What works for her is the 2 million followers that she has on Instagram.
Well, you saw, so to make the she's gotten fined over a cryptic or
cryptocurrency.
Cryptocurrency post. She was paid $250,000 to make a post, a single post, and the FCC went, well, wait a second, you were paid to promote a cryptocurrency, and it was an ad, and she hashtagged ad in it. Well, it's no big deal because she agreed to pay the $1.3 million fine, because that's no big deal when you're worth $2 billion. But
it's interesting about that, because they're trying, the SEC and the FCC are all trying to say, well, they just fall all, cryptocurrency falls under the same guise as stocks and stuff. And that's because they're just now doing this, right? A year ago, 2 years ago, nobody cared, but they started looking at these assets, and now they're putting these rules in place. Well, these rules aren't really really? Like,
once there's money to be made, they will figure out a way to get their hand in it. Yes.
Right. And for Kim Kardashian's like, I'll pay the fine. That's fine. Whatever. My stock just went up. My value just went up even more.
Right. Yeah. Plus, talk about me some more.
Plus, because she has her VC fund now, she has to play nice with them, because now she's got $2 billion or something under asset management.
Right.
Probably with a 20% carry, meaning that she gets every year, the fund gets 20% carry back as part of their quote unquote management fees. So not exactly hurting.
No. I wish somebody paid me $250,000 to make a post.
Yeah, I probably could find somebody who would. I'm just not sure you'd want to do what the post is.
Heck, I'd build a whole dang 100-yard fence if I got 100 or 250,000 a post.
100-yard fence?
You know how many posts I'd have on that fence? I put a post every 8 feet.
Good man.
On that note,
oy vey. So next event for you guys is what?
The next formal thing is really some pre-running for Death Valley. Again, she's got Ladies Off Road Network coming up, and I've got this group from Moab coming through Colorado, and then but then we'll be headed towards Death Valley and trying to put that trip together. Then we've got SEMA, and then we do have our Death Valley event.
Now, Ladies Off Road Network, is there still availability? How do people find out about it? How do people hook up to it? Can people still register?
LadiesOffRoadNetwork.com. As far as I know, she hasn't closed any registration yet. If you're not a member, it costs a little more. But she also has wilderness first aid. So if you need to get certified for permits or anything else, she does have a 3-day class for the wilderness first aid, which I'm doing. They're also, with that, you get the advert training, which is an advanced emergency situation training. For all kinds of emergencies. And then I'm doing the Tread Lightly Trail Trainer. That way I can speak on behalf of Tread Lightly and train others and be able to have the media and the things that we need while we're out on our adventures to teach these people about Tread Lightly. The convention is kind of in the middle. There are some classes like navigation, how to back a trailer, basic mechanics, all kinds of cool stuff. Meeting some pretty substantial women in the industry. We have guest keynote speakers every night. So a lot of training, a lot of education for women. So she also has 2-day trail training in Moab 2 days after the convention's over. I offered to help her. She said she didn't need any help, but we got to get to Death Valley and figure out what we're doing. Figure out what's open, what's not. We'll have more information coming soon, guys. I promise. We're just trying to make the best of what we have right now. So,
well, you do an awesome job. By the way, speaking about Tread Lightly, if you go to treadlightly.org, they are giving away a Jeep.
I did register for that. So
nice.
I don't win anything. It goes to help Tread Lightly. So that was my main thing.
And our friends at Mischief Maker TV helped to coordinate putting this together. So it looks like $5 for one entry, 20 for 5 entries, 50 for 15 entries, and $3 per entry after $50. And you can do that. There's different level of memberships that you can actually join and get it. And then you have the tour. You can see actually on their website where the Jeep's going to be. So October Trail Hero at the BF Goodrich Garage. Okay, so the next opportunity is October 3rd through 8th at Trail Hero at the BFG Garage. I don't see anything after that. And I don't know when they're actually giving it away. When are they going to do?
It'll be soon. It'll be within the week, I believe. I don't remember the exact date.
So, ends at 11:59 p.m. on 10/6/22 is the last chance to enter, which means maybe they're giving it away at Trail Hero because Trail Hero goes until the 8th. Okay, last chance, guys. Then, if you want this, it is a pretty badass Jeep. If you look at the website, the only thing that it actually has Metalcloak fenders on it instead of the cut fenders that are on it in the image, and it has I don't even know what else they put on it, but it's a pretty badass Jeep. And by the way, they're wheeling it. Like this is not a rig that was built and has been untouched. It's actually been wheeled. They've taken it out there and played with it, so you can get a Jeep that actually has the kinks shaken out. Shaken out.
Not stirred.
Shooken. Hey, something I forgot to mention about Off Road Expo that people may have who are following us know, but we showed off 2 products there.
Yes.
The first was one that you guys had seen before, but we actually had one on site, and that was our new RockSport reservoir shocks with the full audible clicker. I mean, literally, like when you do the click, it's like click, 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 and you can hear the clicker. You can audibly hear the clicker. You know that it's changing. And there is a significant difference between 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, there's a valving difference. It's not just like variations of gray. It is actual like black, white, red, blue. I mean, it is different. Nice. So it is, that's cool. So we were showing that off. And then also, and the really cool thing, and this is something we've been working on for a while, was the JK Rear bolt-on long arm kit. So for those of you out there who have bought our compound suspension over the years, we have our 4.5-inch lock and load compound suspension, or 4.5-inch 4-link, or 5.5-inch lock and load compound suspensions. Those suspension systems had the DB3 rear, and they still do, and it's still a great setup for most people. It easy on, it bolts on, it works great. If you want to take your rig to the next level, though, we now have a bolt-on rear long arm kit. You cut off the stock brackets, you line this thing up, you mark a few places, you put a few drill holes through. You have a combination of some crush sleeves and really cool. I mean, you've seen a flag nuts. Most flag nuts are about 3 or 4 inches long. There's this essentially it's like this long. It's a bracket that goes in. It's about for those that can't see, it's like, it's literally, it's a 12-inch fish. I mean, this is that long, big thing. And it goes inside, it goes right inside of there, and it goes back, and it actually helps to bolt it all in. So it's a great overall setup, very well designed, bolt-on rear long arm kit, boosted on our Cloak 3 with 40-inch tires fully aired up, I easily went up on that 32-inch ramp. Obviously, we used the forklift to get up there, but the tires were fully aired up. There was easily 4 inches more before it even touched bump stop. I mean, there was more could go. It was pretty awesome. Corey is very familiar with the long arm kits because you have it on the LJ. It is one hell of a system. We are, of course, going to have it on the JL coming soon. So it's just going to be the next level. So we are pretty proud about that. It's available really quickly, probably next week as a add-on kit. If you already have a JK with a DB3, you can just unbolt the DB3 and put this one on. And by the way, your DB3 probably, unless it's been all beat up, it's going to be an easy thing to sell. You put out there and put it on social media, whatever, and the next guy needs to buy it because he's trying to build up. He's going in stages too, right?
Right.
And or the full-on kits, which will be the front lock and load or 4-link kit, and then the rear long arm. And
that's awesome.
I think Corey will be pretty happy with this because one of the biggest things we see on the CTI trailer is how many times long arm kits hit the frame.
Yep.
And we didn't see that on this kit. So it's pretty good. Really good CTI scores.
Cool.
Now we have a yard full of parts.
Yeah. Like a whole bunch of brand new Jeep parts.
We have a whole Mopar suspension sitting in the yard now.
Yeah.
Mopar.
I think I already sold the rear bumper, so.
Nice. Every one of them. It's okay. If you want to sell them, it's fine. Or if you guys, anybody's been watching the Dahmer, the Jeffrey Dahmer show, there was a scene where they were actually going to be auctioning off all of the little tools and stuff, all the stuff that he used to try to raise money for the families. And one guy goes in and buys the whole lot and buries it.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. I think like you could do the same thing with the Mopar parts. Take them out of circulation.
If we bury them, won't it grow a Jeep?
Need more.
Huh? Oh, will it?
If we bury them, it may grow another Jeep.
Well, then I'm going to bury him.
Oh, that would be so cool.
Do I get to wish while I'm watering it?
For
what I want.
I'm thinking you have to make a YouTube video now where you bury all the Mopar parts and then a little sprout comes up and a little tiny Hot Wheels.
That would be hilarious.
A little control arm,
and then it kind of grows into like a Renegade, and then maybe into a Cherokee, and eventually it's a full size, Gladiator or something, right?
Like time lapse.
So now you need to talk to Disney to get, what's the guy, the gold guy? This is the way. Oh, my brain.
The Disney gold guy.
Disney gold guy. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. What's his name?
The guy from Star Wars.
Not Boba Fett. Okay. Anyway, this is the way. There's a new meme that says "Gold is the way," and
gold is the way.
He is all in gold.
The Mandalorian.
Need to make a new commercial.
The Mandalorian.
Yeah, Mandalorian.
He's all in gold. Okay. So they got him. So
he's all in gold, and he says "Gold is the way."
Oh.
So.
Just saying. There you go. So the Mandalorian just endorsed Metalcloak.
Yes.
Sorry,
you're right.
I can easily claim that. It's obviously it's there. That's fine.
Fair.
We've been fully endorsed by the Mandalorian.
I'm going to get really green for
if he's using gold. It's got to be gold zinc chromate because he needs to be protected against the elements.
That's right. It's how he doesn't rust.
That's right.
It's the best armor ever.
Best armor ever. So that'll be cool. I don't even know how we got that far, but but yeah, that's it. Bury all the parts, take them out of circulation. They don't need to be. You're selling them to people, and it's like, really, you do that to somebody else?
They're just.
I thought you cared about people
seeds.
better.
Jeep seeds.
All right, guys. Well, another crazy and heartfelt episode that was all over the place, but that's what we do. Yeah, that's what we do. Get back to all your build. How long before? So is your 392 or not a three? Excuse me. I wish you had a 392. I wish you had the 392. But
Totally
your
wish I
JL,
did too sometimes, but
yes,
Yeah.
high velocity.
my high velocity 2.0 turbo.
Yes, we know you could get
So
a
the
392 badge
suspension
on the
should be
side of it.
done by the time I get back down there.
Yeah, I
You
was
could
gonna
put
say
on
once we
there
go back.
the heart of a 392.
You're
Right.
right. Once we get back out there, the suspension is pretty much all done. We're still waiting on a couple things, but the wheels should be here by the end of this week. Still hunting some tires down, but
Martine.
yeah, our
So what
buddy.
did you choose for wheels?
Some Raceline Defenders. They're
Okay,
they're
nice.
gunmetal gray. They kind of match the ones on the
Gladiator.
Dodge truck and the
Oh,
Gladiator.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. And then what are you getting from Martine?
We're gonna run XTs on the
37s.
37-inch XTs on
Wow.
the
My yellow.
JL. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
JL. My other one is bald. Her tires are bald.
Bald.
So
They're 4 years old and been
Wow.
raced on a few times, so
Yeah.
it's time.
Well, they were
We
used
finally
when
found the hole in my tire.
they were
That was
used when you put them
put in
on
it.
there, right? You didn't get brand new tires onto that one.
mm-mm.
No, you got hand-me-downs from Corey.
No, they were
No.
actually on her
My
race
race
Jeep
Jeep.
back in
they're race.
Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
They've been around, and the fact that
Mhm.
they've got any tread on them is still kind of amazing to me. But
Yeah.
I plugged one of the holes last weekend, and it doesn't leak air anymore. But yeah, we need to reach out to our friends and source
Martine's
some
busy.
tires. Yeah,
He's
everybody's
been
busy.
so
Everybody's busy. All right. Speaking of which, I know you guys are busy. We got stuff to do too. So I am just going to sign off and say, hey, for all of our modern Jeepers out there, you know how to get a hold of us. Matt's at metalcloak.com, Corey at metalcloak.com, Jesse at metalcloak.com, ModernJeeperAdventures.com, ModernJeeper.com, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, we were talking about instructions. You can find all of our instructions at metalcloakinstructions.com, which are
Crazy.
hosted on the ModernJeeperForum.com.
That's
Yep.
right.
Kind of funny how that all works together.
Yeah.
Anything
right,
else you want
buddy.
to add before we sign off?
I think we're good.
comments
Awesome.
on Moab. Save the trail.
That's
Yep.
right.
Get it
That's
done.
right. Thank you,
Yep.
all of you who responded positively to last week's episode. Don't let it stop. Continue to share,
right.
and share. This fight is not over, and
Nope.
the opposition will never stop fighting to fulfill their
Sure.
psychotic needs.
Uh-huh.
So we can't stop either.
That's right.
All right. Well, that being said, friends, we'll see you on the trails.
Cheers.
See ya.